guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelly. Thanks so much for watching. In today's video, you're going to see me interviewing a friend of mine who overcame an illness. And I just wanted to put this quick disclaimer out because I know topics surrounding health and mental health and illnesses are very, very controversial. So all opinions expressed are our own opinions. In no way are we stating that we have all the answers. My friend is simply sharing her experience on how she overcame this, and hopefully it can help somebody out there. So thanks so much for watching and enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today is going to be the first segment of a series that I'm doing, which I'm really excited about, called The Joy Inside. And I have my friend Leah here, and she's going to tell a little bit of her story, and it is amazing. It's really powerful and really inspiring, and that's why I wanted her to share this with you guys on the channel. So stay tuned. So Leah used to have an illness called POTS, and you want to explain that?
Yeah. POTS is an illness of the nervous system. It stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. 2 to 3 million Americans have POTS. The range of disability is pretty wide. Some people are in wheelchairs, and some people just faint often and have trouble living their life. The most common symptom is a high heart rate upon standing. So when you're laying down, your heart rate is normal. When you stand up, it increases 30 beats or more. I would just get out of bed and my heart rate would be at 140 just walking around the house.
Gosh.
So you just feel tired all the time. There's a lot of other symptoms that come with it, like headaches, light sensitivity, nausea. POTS is actually a form of dysautonomia, which means that the autonomic functions of your body, heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, they are not operating correctly. So it's a very hard thing to fix or even diagnose.
So Leah is a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for like 4 years, about 4 years, almost 5. And I saw her experience this illness, and I knew her before it. And it was a vast difference in her personality and in what she could and could not do anymore. So tell them about that. Like, you didn't always have this illness. What happened?
I was always really high energy. I would thrive in fast-paced environments. And I was always like, you know, working 3 jobs and writing, creating, you know, constantly. And what happened was I got in a car accident, and that's when the symptoms started because I had a concussion. So it was a really dramatic change.
I remember when it first, or before you knew that you had this, you called me, remember? And she told me, because she knew that I dealt with anxiety and stuff like that. She was like, I'm feeling these symptoms and I don't know what's wrong with me.
I thought I was going crazy. Yeah, no, I was like,
am I having a panic attack? I was like, I don't know.
Now that I look back on it, I felt like I was on drugs.
Wow.
Like, permanently. I mean, a concussion is so weird. I kept saying, I feel out of body, but it's really scary because I obviously didn't take drugs and I feel that way. So that's a very out of control feeling where you're like, oh my gosh, my vision was acting funny, my hearing. And then it all came to a head one night when I went out to go to the gym, and I was driving, and all the headlights were just swimming like fish on the windshield. I just turned around and went home. I had no idea what was wrong with me.
And it took a while for you to find out exactly what it is. How long did it take? I know that was a long process.
It took about a week and a half to figure out I had a concussion because my symptoms came later than the car accident. When I went to my doctor and told him, like, I have all these neurological symptoms, he said, you probably had a concussion in the car accident. And that was when I remembered that I did hit my head.
Wow.
Obviously, if you lose consciousness, you're not conscious for it.
So you don't know.
Oh, that's what's really confusing, because people are like, did you lose consciousness? You're like, I don't know, did I? So it took a while. The neurologist diagnosed me with that. Once I had that diagnosis, I felt like there was at least a path. I was diagnosed with anxiety, everything. And then my symptoms got better, and then they got worse. And that was when they were like, you have POTS. And I actually saw a cardiologist, and the cardiologist diagnosed me with POTS, which is it's very hard to be diagnosed with POTS because it's a rare illness, and a lot of the symptoms are mistaken for anxiety.
Right. And you did not know, like, I know you were in and out of the doctor's office like for months, right? Until you found out. From the accident to you finding out when you had this issue, how long was that?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
3 months of like what
confusing
is wrong
symptoms
with me.
And not knowing like what's wrong with you.
And
That's
being
scary.
in a dark room, no phone, no books, totally alone.
You couldn't watch TV, right?
No. Oh my gosh. Like, you're actually laying in a dark room alone all day, every day for weeks. And it's like terrifying. And because you're not just laying there like chilling, you're in pain. Have you seen the Hunger Games? I think it's the second one. They're in the games, and there's that, they find out that they're in a clock.
Yeah.
And the weather patterns are on the sky. I felt like my symptoms were that clock. Like I had nausea, headaches, panic attack, sleep issues, and it just kept like, it was this weird cycle where I just kept getting hit with the next symptom. That was like really painful and lonely because, I mean, you can't go out in public. You can't just like, if you break your foot, you can just sit there and watch TV. Like I was isolated in my own brain in the dark.
And she's a people person, so that's like really hard to go through when you're not able to socialize with people where you get your energy from. You had to take medicines, right?
I was thrown all these medications at me. I had, like, my nightstand had like probably 12 different prescription medications, and I didn't know which ones I could take, what I could take with what. And I had never been on medication ever in my life. Like, I would hesitate to take an Advil. I never did drugs. I just hated like anything altering
me too.
My state of
mind.
Like
feeling like you're not in control of yourself.
Hate that. Yeah, like people will be like, oh, I love like smoking weed or whatever. I'm like, I just love drinking coffee in the morning because I feel alert. Like I don't want to feel all out of my mind.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So how did that affect your work? Like tell them what you do and how that changed like everything.
Before all this happened, I was running a videography company where I would travel all over the place and create promo videos, travel internationally, and I was living in a few different places. And I think that the hardest part of this was that my brain went dark creatively. And what I realized was trauma can do strange things to the brain, but trauma is actually worse when your body is already depleted. And because I was doing too many things, my system was just drained. Wow. So when I got hit with the concussion, it was almost like my body was trying to fight back, but it just didn't have it. Because I think if I had been in a really healthy place, peaceful, settled, had normal boundaries with work and life, I think I would have had the concussion and my body would have just healed it. But it was almost like because of the anxiety had drained me. And I didn't know that I had anxiety. I mean, I didn't know. Like, sometimes you just, you're living life. Like, you're not going to...
functioning, so you don't know.
Yeah, you're not going to stop your whole life to be like, let me figure out what's wrong with me, which you actually should do, but unfortunately you don't do it until it's really bad. So that was this really sad thing about this time, is that I actually lost my entire personality. And it's not even that I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't care that I didn't know who I was. Wow. Like, I was this illness. That was the only thing I was. My only focus was, how do I get better? And so in a weird way, I became my illness.
Wow. So I know that when you go through an illness like that, where you can't physically see something wrong with the person, sometimes people don't always believe you, or people say, like, oh, it's just all in your head.
Yeah.
I know how frustrating that is. How did that affect you when people would tell you that? Like, oh, it's just, anxiety, just push through it. It's just mental.
Well, the interesting thing about something just being mental is that a lot of people don't realize that your brain and your body function together.
Right. It's not just mental.
So I was fortunate because there was a doctor that met with me. This guy is like a famous rheumatologist. Rheumatology is the study of pain. Sometimes people don't. I learned all these medical terms. His name is Dr. Dave, and he runs a clinic where kids come in with pain, like excruciating pain, say, in their foot. And the pain is so bad that their foot actually has turned blue. Wow. It's swollen, it's blue, and they can't walk on it. They're on crutches. Doctors can't help them because their pain is actually based in their mind. What happened was, maybe they had an injury. After the injury heals, the brain keeps amplifying their pain in a feedback loop between the pain nerves and the autonomic nerves, and that's what creates the swelling. But it's clearly not all in their mind because it's also in their foot. Right. And that is actually like a really cool example because it's a physical demonstration of what happens when you are depressed or when you have anxiety or when you have something like POTS. Wow. Because it is based in your mind, but you're fatigued. You're having trouble living life. Right. You're getting panic attacks. It manifests physically. Totally. He was the only person to say POTS is completely curable but you have to be the one to cure your illness.
Wow.
Sometimes when he would say that to me, something would well up inside of me where I was like, no, I have a real illness.
Yeah.
I can't just trick myself out of this illness. On one hand, it was really frustrating when people would say, oh, like, it's all in your mind, like, you can overcome it. And it's frustrating because you don't know how to overcome it.
Right.
If you knew how, you would have done
Right.
it. But on the other hand, when Dr. Dave would say it to me, it was empowering because he was saying, I actually have a regimen where I take people from like sickness to health. And I actually know the reasons why you can come out of this. So it's not just like a friend saying, it's in your mind, you're being a baby about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So what made you like change your mind about your situation? Because I know like for a long, was it a full year that you
8 months.
It was 8 months that she was like down for the count, didn't work, didn't hang out. And it was really sad to see because again, like I knew her before that and I'm like, she's just this bubbly person who's always like ready to hang and do something fun. And she was just like not the same. She was really struggling. So what was it? What was the turning point that made you say like, I'm done? Whatever they're saying, I'm going to try what they're saying.
Dr. Dave was like, you have POTS, your symptoms are real, but you need to act like they're not. You need to live life like you did before the accident. He was like, you need to retrain your autonomic nerves to go back to normal. And he said, you actually have the power to do that by returning to your life. Which, you know, if he hadn't been this like famous pain doctor at one of the most prestigious hospitals in Philadelphia, I would have not believed him. But I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And he was like, you have to work out, get your heart rate up, even though you're going to faint and you feel sick or whatever. Keep doing it. I tried to do it, but it was hard because I didn't feel like it completely worked because I didn't really believe it would work. And that is what ended up being the problem. Placebo effect is also really important to this whole conversation because I would go to doctor after doctor and like none of these therapies even made sense. Like I'd have people give me a head massage and tell me they were moving my skull bones.
What?
And I was like, what I realized was a lot of people just get cured through placebo effect, even when you're taking medication.
Wow.
Like you really think the medication's gonna work. Through this experience, I realized that placebo effect is more real than most therapies that are out there.
Wow.
Because your mind is so powerful. Perception is powerful. What was keeping me from getting better was a real physical thing happening in my brain through negative thoughts, anxiety, and, you know, bad choices. I had created in my mind these neuropathways that just automatically went to a negative outcome.
Yeah.
And it was an automatic response. I would hear a doctor say, it could be 2 months, it could be a year. And immediately I was like, it's gonna take a year. I truly was physically unable to think positively, which is really sad if you don't hear the end of the story.
Right.
Even if your brain and your body are constantly lying to you, you always have the power to choose what you say.
So expound on that.
Yeah.
Your brain and your body lying to you.
Have you ever heard of phantom limb pain?
Yes.
Crazy phenomenon, right?
Yeah.
Like your arm gets cut off and you still feel the pain in your arm.
Right. That's not there.
Because pain is neurological.
Right.
When you're depressed and when you have anxiety, your brain is still lying to you. Your brain is lying to your body, saying you're tired, you're sick, but there is actually nothing wrong with your organs.
Right.
Right?
Your
like,
body's working. Yeah.
a panic attack is lying to your body.
Yes.
It's saying
You're gonna die.
you're gonna die, but you're actually not gonna die, and your heart is actually fine, and you can get texted by all the doctors are texting. No, you can get tested by every doctor, and everything will come up great, which is good news.
But you don't feel that.
You don't feel it. So what happened to me is so empowering because I was the classic example of my body and brain are lying to me.
And I didn't know this before, so I just want to put it out there. When you constantly think in the same pattern, like you said, your brain makes those neural pathways so that your mind doesn't have to work hard for it anymore. Like the more you do something, the more your brain will just shortcut for you and it thinks if a difficult situation comes up, you're going to be depressed because life just sucks.
Yeah, I will honestly be the first to say it's impossible for a depressed person to think positively. But it is possible to speak positively when you're depressed,
Yes.
which is what cured me.
So tell us about the positivity game that you played, which I've never really heard of before.
Well, I invented it.
Yeah, she invented it. So there you go. That's why.
Nothing had worked for me. I had spent $8,000 on therapies and nothing worked. And I was just like, I'm going to be sick for the rest of my life. Like, I really was coming around to that idea. And then I was on vacation with my family and I was in a coffee shop reading this book called Words Can Change Your Brain by Andrew Newberg. And the book makes the case that your body chemically responds better to positive language than negative language. Like if you're reading the word yes growing incrementally in size, you'll have a chemical reaction to that. And I was like, you know what? What if I just only said positive things? Like, what if I made a game out of it? Like, I'm only allowed to say positive things today. So I told my mom and my little sister, I was like, I'm gonna do this game. They were like, all right, great. And my mom like naturally plays this game.
She's the most positive person.
I put the book down on the table and my mom was like, do you guys want to walk around the town? And everything inside of me was like, no, I'm tired. I have a headache. I want to go to bed. But I was like, I'd love to. That sounds so fun. So I was lying about everything. Yeah, for like that whole day. But by the end of the day, I felt a physical difference in my body for the first time in those 8 months.
Wow.
I felt something change. And it was that little glimmer of hope that made me be like, I'm going to keep doing this.
For how long did you have to play this game till you felt yourself back to normal, basically?
It took me 2 months and I was completely recovered. Do you want to know why it works? Because you are forcing new patterns into your brain. You're almost like staging a coup on your brain and like coming in the back door. And because when you're depressed, you can't think positively, right? So if you tried to say something positive, like, I'm not depressed today, your brain would know that's a lie. The reason why the positivity game works is because you are forcing your brain to create alternative scenarios, which is what positivity is.
Right.
You start reframing things, and then your brain naturally does it. What's true and what's not true.
Right.
Creating reality versus not creating.
Right, because you, like people probably say, you still want to validate your feelings. Like if you're not okay, it's okay to say that you're not okay, but there's a line that you have to draw between self-pity and empowering yourself.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think emotions are important, but I think if you are mentally ill,
yeah, you can't always trust them.
you should not listen to your emotions.
Yeah.
I think you should wait until you're in a healthier state and then listen to your emotions. So, for instance, I was doing counseling during all of this. I felt like my body was in such a weak place. The only thing I could ever talk about was how sick I was. Whereas now I have real emotions and I get sad and I get upset and I talk about it. But at the same time, like, you create reality with your words. I would have never said that if I didn't feel on an atomic, like cellular level, my body go from death to life.
Wow.
Only by the words I was saying. That is the only thing I changed. And it really was this game that completely cured me. And once I was cured from the illness, which was a complete miracle, after playing the game for 2 months, I was back filming weddings, going to New York, doing business trips. I mean, I was getting my life back. It was a little slower than before, but this whole experience gave me an opportunity to completely retrain my brain. So when I finally got better and I started doing music again, I would have a door like slam in my face and I would just be like, let me find another one. You know, whereas before a door would shut in my face and I would just kind of stare at it and be like, why did it shut? Am I the worst person ever? Do I suck? I just realized like, oh my gosh, I don't have to live that way for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing with music now.
That's awesome.
Maybe I don't really love it though. Maybe I'm lying to you.
Maybe you'll never know how I really feel. But that's good. It's like you're forcing yourself to constantly see the silver lining.
Yes.
And I think that's so important because a lot of people, especially in our generation, tend to be cynical And I feel like people who see the silver lining all the time are like a breath of fresh air. And I know that I am drawn to people like that because I am not like that at all.
You can't say that though.
Oh, I can't say that.
Because you can retrain your brain to be that kind of person.
I can be that person.
And it's not like this, like, blah, 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 be positive, think, all these, like, empty promises. Like, I hate that stuff. Like, it actually really is true that you can retrain your brain.
You really can. You really can.
You just have to be disciplined. And that was one of the things that was so mind-blowing to me, is that all my life I was like, well, I'm a depressive person. I'm not a positive person. You know, I didn't know that you could change your brain. I had no idea.
Yeah, me either, until I went through what I went through, and we learned about neuroplasticity and how the brain really does change based on your actions and your words and your thought process.
One of the things, one of the building blocks that you have to know and believe in order to believe any of this actually is true, is that thoughts are physical substances. And this is something Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about in her book, Switch on Your Brain. So, I mean, when you have a negative thought, it fires in your brain and sends real messages to your body.
Yeah.
I actually do see words as physical realities. This is one thing that I want to drive home about this, because this is probably the most important thing about the positivity game. The reason why people don't speak positively is because they feel like they're lying.
Yeah.
So who wants to go around lying about everything?
Yep.
Or you feel fake.
Yeah.
You are unable to think positively. And the doctors will tell you your only option is for a pill to do it for you.
Yeah.
Flood your brain with serotonin or GABA or whatever.
Yeah.
What if you're someone like me and medication makes you throw up or lose sleep? Medication wasn't an option for me. So what do? You just helpless? Are you just a victim of your own brain? Your will is your ability to choose something. What's crazy is that for a depressed person, your will is actually the only weapon you have to wage against disease.
Wow.
If medication works for you, great, it will do it for you. But who knows, maybe you'll have weird symptoms later. Medication is not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Even though it works for some people. I feel like with the positivity game, I'm giving someone a tool. This is actually something, I don't care if you're laying on your back in bed every single day, you have the ability to create words with your mouth. And those words do not have to be what you're feeling. They can be the complete opposite of what you're feeling. And so the ability to speak, the ability to make decision is an act of the will.
I know you're a believer. We go to the same church. So how did your faith come in with all of this? Your depression, POTS, the positivity game, how was that involved in your situation?
I think that because we are body and spirit and mind, when our mind is dark, when our body is fighting us, it is hard for our spirit to be strong because we're all connected.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was pretty helpless. I can look back at that time and be like, I didn't feel God. I never felt this healing that I wanted to feel. But the crazy thing is that there was this army of people around me doing that for me.
Right, praying for you.
It's just it always makes me cry when I talk about it, because it's that is actually what's so amazing about the church is, when you don't have the faith for yourself, other people actually can have the faith for you. And I feel like people had the faith for me until I was ready to break through. And when I look back on it, I never felt anything because I was chemically about as depressed as you can be. But I just, in my heart, the only thing I could muster up was I want these people to be around me and let them carry me until I am ready. And in my mind, I never thought I would be ready. I really believed I would be sick forever. But I had Dr. Dave, who's a Christian, just every week telling me, and I didn't even believe him, but his humility and his generosity and just meeting with me every week, I was clearly this person cares about me getting better, and they're actually the only person who's saying I will get better.
And he met with you for free.
For free. Yeah. So that's that side of it. What I realized after I was healed, because it was that. I was thinking I would be ill for the rest of my life, and in 2 months I was completely recovered, and it was shocking. Because for a while I was positivity game, that's what worked for me, But then I realized, oh my gosh, this is exactly what the church has been doing for thousands of years through the disciplines of prayer and meditation.
Yeah.
Like, when you say things, when you repeat things, when you say things that, the discipline of saying things that are true when you don't feel it, that is a religious discipline.
Yeah.
And we look down on it because I feel like in this culture we're like, I want to be authentic and true to my feelings. And like, the thing is like, we're surrounded and inundated with that cultural idea that like authenticity is the highest value.
Wow, yeah.
So the biggest takeaway from a faith perspective is that faith is an act of the will, and faith is not a feeling. And I was waiting for my emotions and the chemicals in my brain to interpret reality through a positive lens, and it just was never going to happen without my will.
Before I finish this video, I want to ask you, where do you find your joy? Where do you find foundational joy? Because I named my channel Joy Before Her because I authentically did not feel like a joyful person. So I wanted to make something that I could look to and aspire to be throughout your situation and your life now, moving forward with whatever else comes, you know, whatever trials may come. Where do you find your joy?
I think that joy is a state of being that is created from a series of decisions that lead to a joyful state of being or a depressed or unhappy state of being. So for me, it's funny. I do think for me it's a very spiritual thing. When I'm quiet with myself, I hear God leading me, go this way or go this way, or this is who you are, this is not who you are. You know, little quiet leadings. If I listen to them, I've noticed that I create a lifestyle of joy. And if I disagree with them and say, nah, I'm gonna like do this thing, I start creating a lifestyle of like anxiety and busyness. I do feel like when I'm looking at the source, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
But when I get obsessed with what that source is illuminating, when I get obsessed with that thing, then that's when it goes downhill for me. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's just like tiny decisions that
like
lead
that.
to a
That lead
lifestyle
to a
of joy.
lifestyle. That's what it is. That's what it is. And I think that's why people get so overwhelmed with the thought of being like a positive person
Yeah.
or like a joyful person. If you just, it's small decisions that you
Yeah.
make in your life make you that person.
Totally.
So Leah is a videographer, a singer, an author, and a poet. Am I missing anything else? Anything else? So I'm going to leave her links in the description box where they could find you, social media, website, all that stuff. So you guys can look up anything that you want to hear from her. Thank you so much for telling your story. I hope you guys got a lot out of that. Make sure to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos and leave a comment. If you have any questions, we will be happy to respond to you. Thank you so much again for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye.